Barnaby Jones will return next Thursday night at 10, 9 Central and Mountain on most of these stations.
Fade in. Interior Paul Lynde's living room. Night. Oh, am I doing Paul Lynde now?
You're Paul Lynde.
You sure?
Yeah.
If you feel like you've got a Paul Lynde in you, I want you to do.
C+.
C+?
Yeah, go ahead.
Fade in. Interior Paul Lynde's living room. Night. Paul Lynde, dressed in a Santa outfit, trims a Christmas tree while singing. I was going to have a little Christmas tree here as a prop. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. And he turns around, and there's his housekeeper, Margaret Hamilton, and oh boy, she fixes him with a look. What's the matter, Margaret? Jack Frost nipping at your nose?
Mr. Lynde, I've been your housekeeper for 15 years. So will you trust me when I tell you something?
Of course, Margaret.
It's not Christmas.
Oh, why don't you go dust? All right, cut to living room. A little later, we start close on a basket of Easter eggs. Pull out to reveal Paul stomping into the room wearing a bunny outfit with comically large bunny feet. And wouldn't you know it, Margaret Hamilton from The Wizard of Oz enters again.
Mr. Lynde?
Don't tell me.
It's not Easter.
Margaret, go prune a tree.
Now, why wouldn't Margaret just say it's Halloween here on the second time through?
It's a really good question. I don't know. Okay. Maybe she's just gotten so used to indulging him at this point.
Yeah.
Cut to living room later. Start close on a giant heart-shaped box of candy. Widen to reveal Paul in a smoking jacket. My words. My funny Valentine, sweet comic Valentine, you make me smile with my... Margaret appears and fixes Paul with another look. What is it then? Chinese New Year, April Fool, May Day, Payday, VJ Day, Groundhog Day? Smile when I get warm. You can smile, can't ya?
I'll give you a hint. It's full of witches and spooks and strange creatures of the night.
Sounds like Hollywood Squares.
We go through this every year. You know perfectly well what day it is.
Okay. Happy Halloween, everybody. Whoop-dee. And then, when they come back, the first thing you see is Paul, who talking to the audience, and he's talking about how much he loves Halloween. It's his favorite time of year.
So what was he doing in this opening? And also, if she says you know perfectly well what day it is, and how many costumes does he have in the house?
Live on tape from Van Nuys, it's the Up All Night with Bob Halloween Special Scare Travaganza with Bob's special guest, TV writer Patrick Walsh. Plus, Tim Conway, Roz Pinky Tuscadero Kelly, Margaret Hamilton, Billy Hayes, Billy Barty, Florence Henderson, and Abe Vigoda.
Ladies and folks, ghosts and ghouls, alcoholics, you demanded it, we deliver. It's the Up All Night with Bob Halloween Special Scare Travaganza with my very special guest tonight. I can't read this. It's too far away. It's from TV's. You know him from his writing on TV's It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
Yep.
Crashing,
Yep.
The Two Broke Girls,
Yep.
Currently Ms. Pat, now on BET Plus, and I believe about to enter its third season. Am I correct about that?
I wrote for 2 and 3, but they've been picked up for 2 additional seasons.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Right.
Has season 3 aired yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Oh, well, part of the reason you're here, of course, not coincidentally, is the fabulous podcast which he hosts with his pal, comedian Joe DeRosa. We'll see you in hell. And see, right away I'm already thrown because Joe, I know Joe just a little bit. I play poker with him at your house.
Right.
And he's funnier than I am. You're funnier than I am, but I can deal with that. But what I can't deal with is people watching this later and going, oh, that guy's no Joe DeRosa.
Oh, geez. Well, Joe is very funny and is obsessed with this Paul Lynde Halloween special, which I have never seen before.
I did not know that.
But he's a stand-up. We've done this podcast about 5 years. There are many episodes free on iTunes, but now we're Patreon only, which has been great because we actually make money that way.
Patreon is strictly subscriber based.
Yes.
And so you just earn whatever you decide to charge per subscriber.
They have to pay. So we do 4 a month, or you can do a 2 a month program.
Okay.
And then you get bonuses. Like I do a Pat's solo movie corner. That's where I talk about the movies I've seen, maybe rant about my life a little bit.
Right.
That's just me and the shit in my brain.
Right.
And then you can do tiers where you give people like meet and greets and stuff, but I'm not, it's not like I'm John Cougar Mellencamp over here. So we don't do that. But it's just a better way, and you control it. And I think in all these industries, the people at the top are terrified that we will learn we can control it.
That sounds like communist talk, but
Well, that brings me to my next point. Brings me to my manifesto that I brought.
It's the Red Baiting Halloween special.
Come and get me, motherfucker.
But anyway, have you seen Halloween Ends?
Oh, yeah. I think there's been one great Halloween movie, and it's the first Halloween. And I'm not that purist. I've seen all of them pretty recently.
Yeah.
There are some that are more interesting than others, but there's one great movie. It's not a good franchise, and a lot of these horror franchises suck. Like Friday the 13th suck. But the new David Gordon Green, Danny McBride ones, I think, are the worst of the bunch.
Let the dangertainment begin.
Oh, you do?
Like the Rob Zombie ones, he went way too dark and disturbing with it, of course. That's Rob Zombie. But at least I've found them to be more sort of in the wheelhouse, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the first one lost me. The second one is as bad as it gets. Halloween Kills.
Evil dies tonight!
Evil dies tonight!
Evil dies tonight! Evil dies tonight!
He didn't.
In Ends, the new one, turning it over to the new young guy who's like the new Michael, that's what I would have done for part 2, personally.
Right.
And then really ended this franchise right.
Right.
Which I don't think they did.
Yeah.
But I liked that they took a risk with it, and I didn't hate the movie overall.
Yeah. I didn't hate the movie either, and I admit that they didn't. I don't know that they necessarily kind of stuck the landing. But all I know is you just referenced having seen all of them fairly recently.
Yeah.
At any given time, somewhere in the span of a 5 or 7 year period, I will also revisit probably all of those movies.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like me, you've watched old Siskel and Ebert's on YouTube.
I have.
From time to time. You know how much they hated the slasher movies, especially.
Yeah.
And the Friday the 13th.
And it honestly
movies.
makes them look dumb now. It makes them look like John Lithgow in Footlouse. Footlouse. John Lithgow in Footlouse. I have a weird vowel
that was the non-union version.
John Lithgow, yeah. The porn version.
Real great. Jason, you can't hear him, you can't see him, he hardly even breathes. He's the latest word in leading men from the geniuses at Paramount Pictures. You get the idea. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, is 90 minutes of teenagers being strangled, stabbed, impaled, chopped up, and mutilated. That's all this movie is just mindless, bloody violence.
And as much as I like those guys, and Ebert especially,
Of course.
I think they completely missed the mark. They're absolutely sort of laser focused on the idea that nothing happens in the movie except people getting killed. And I'm like, well, I think the truth could be said of an action movie. You're there to see action.
Right.
In a movie like this, you're there for the gags. And people obviously love the gags because they compile them on YouTube and they talk about them all the time. And the fan base is enormous. And I'm not so crazy that I go to cons, and I've never been in a convention center full of people dressed up. Although that may be, who knows? I'm not dead yet.
It's kind of fun.
Have you done it?
Well, Joe and I did a horror fest in Columbine.
Oh, Jesus.
Which we were like, where is it again? You couldn't pick anywhere else? But it was a lot of fun, and we wound up sharing a van to the Colorado airport with the twins from The Shining.
No way, really?
Who were delightful 50-year-old British twins, and they whispered in each other's ears. It's like they never left each other's side.
Did you get a photo of this?
We felt like they spent the whole weekend doing that, and 2 guys in a van getting a photo.
Yeah.
I tend to leave people alone.
No, it's wise.
But It was a great weekend, and you meet, like, Jigsaw was there signing stuff, I think. You know, it's a second act for a lot of these people.
Oh, yeah.
And they appreciate it.
I began watching Terrifier last night, the Terrifier number uno, which I have not seen. I'm only
Making
about
people
halfway.
puke the sequel, they say.
Well, this is what they're saying. Have you been in the theater?
No, and, you know, very often I watch stuff for the podcast I wouldn't want to watch.
Yeah.
But that when they're saying people are vomiting and it's 2.5 hours of this, I'm not going to see that.
I don't know why it's as lengthy as it is. The original, which is streaming on, I don't know, one of those free things. Let's put it this way: one of those free services wherein the commercial break was long enough that I just gave up and went to bed at about Tubi.
Yeah.
So Tubi. I'm not saying that there's not a business model here. I'm just saying make
Tubi
that first break a little wee shorter. What's that?
Tubi has everything.
They do. They got a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, for free.
Okay, Terrifier.
Yeah.
You haven't seen the first one?
No.
There are a few things. The Saw movies, most of them I have gotten through a couple of them, but I'm not a huge torture porn guy.
Same.
I've never seen Last House on the Left. I've never seen what's The Hills Have Eyes.
I've seen all those. I mean, those are sort of so primitive and early film and non-special effecty that they start to get to you because it feels like you're just watching a snuff film of action.
That's exactly why I find some of those movies harder to watch.
Yeah, it's tough.
I was watching, speaking of it, just one that fits perfectly into that, it's a little later, but 1980, Maniac. Have you ever watched Maniac?
Sure, Maniac's a rough one. And I just, the other night, watched the Driller Killer.
Oh, I've seen Driller. Driller Killer is kind of fun, though,
yeah,
isn't it?
was.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't mind them. Actually, I find Hostel to be incredibly fun, but most people, when they say I don't do torture porn, they're like I wouldn't watch Hostel. To me, Hostel is an action-adventure movie, and most of it is kept off screen. It's incredibly intense, but the first half of it plays like Porky's.
Yeah.
And then the guys are punished for being such scumbags in the back half. I would recommend Hostel. You can cover your eyes in a couple parts, but actually you'd be covering your eyes and probably not seeing anything. It's one where they'll get you right there, and you think you've seen it, but you haven't.
Yeah, Terrifier is what I do, from what I can tell from the first 26 minutes, exactly the opposite. Yeah.
Well, you know, Joe and I did Jaws on the podcast. We did a live podcast in New York, and we talked about Jaws because I saw it in IMAX.
Oh wow!
Right here in Universal City, and Joe saw it in 3D. They did that double re-release.
Oh yeah. What do you have to say about the 3D?
He loved it. I was talking about how the IMAX makes you realize what it. I mean, I'm not breaking any ground here, but what a master of setting up a shot, staging that Steven Spielberg is.
Yes.
There's a shot at the beginning where a truck pulls up into like the gate of a white picket fence at Roy Scheider's house. That I was like, if I was home, I would have rewound this very basic shot like 5 times.
Yeah.
So because we're talking gore, Joe goes, well, you know, you don't see any blood till at really the point where they throw a bunch of kids' bloody clothes on the sand, and you're like, oh my god. But I was like, well, no, you see the naked girl at the beginning, and she's all bloody in the ocean. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Blood bubbles up and everything. And I had seen the movie 3 days prior, and Joe was like, no, you don't see any blood there, and we looked it up, and you don't. That's his gift. That's why Jaws is PG and is scarier than most R-rated movies. Probably scarier than Terrifier.
Yeah.
Because you don't see anything.
Yeah.
You create it in your mind.
I think that's absolutely true. Now there is the hand with the sand crabs on it.
Right.
Which lingers in one's memory. I know it lingered in mine as a young child.
Well, you're deathly afraid of sand crabs.
Well, I always have been, Pat, and whether it's hard to say. Was it seeded then? Did I walk? It's nature nurture. You don't know whether I walked into the theater that way or not. Yeah. I was just gonna say you see that even at the very beginning. If you've ever seen, I'm sure you have, Duel when the guy with the truck. And even from the very beginning, he knows exactly where that goddamn camera needs to be all the time.
Right, yeah.
And always has it there. And you're never not 1,000% on board with the protagonist. And that within maybe 5 minutes of the start of the movie. Yeah. It's almost impossible.
Movie he did when he was like 22, you know?
Yeah. I just want to say in closing on the Halloween conversation that whilst it was a little bit all over the place, having seen all the movies as you have, they're all, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's one good Halloween movie.
Yeah.
Just like there are one great Halloween movie.
2 and 3 have their charms.
Right.
H2O has its charms.
Yes. They all have their charms, or we
Yeah.
wouldn't. I mean, there must. And also, there's always that fun. There's just that bit of business if you're a film lover about kind of sitting down and now I'm watching the Burton Batmans, and then that kind of
Richard Burton.
Richard Burton,
Underrated.
You know what? I
Behind the
mean,
mask.
Liz Taylor as Harley Quinn alone burned that
Yeah.
city to the
Yeah,
ground.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I don't think I've ever asked you this question in the time that the year that we spent in a room together. And what are the limits of your own supernatural beliefs? I'm just curious. Do you have any psychics, UFOs, ghosts, vampires, wolfmen, mummies?
You know,
any of the universal monsters?
I think the reason the bulk of horror does not terrify me is because I have no belief in any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I took a date the other night to see Poltergeist, which is my favorite horror movie of all time.
Yeah, one of mine.
And again, a PG horror movie that just destroys every time.
Yeah.
What I love most about it, I always say this, is 2 things. It works because you love Craig T. Nelson and Joe Beth Williams.
Yeah.
You buy them as a couple. It starts with them smoking a joint, and he's sticking his gut out, and he thinks he's getting fat and everything. And you're like, I know
great.
this couple.
So great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's bald. He looks like a person. You know, that's what
Yeah.
we're missing from movies.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And-
I sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
No.
But just those first 20, 25 minutes of getting to know the people that are going to be terrified for the next 60.
It means everything.
Why is that? I don't know why that's so hard to get to.
And it's
to get
it's
across.
in your most basic Save the Cat screenwriting book.
Yeah, yeah.
Even like the just boring formula movie will tell you have to care about the people in it, and we've just lost that step. And I think you immediately lose that step when you cast The Rock as the dad who's trying to save his daughter.
Yeah,
You know?
totally.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
My other thing that I love so much about Poltergeist is that it ends with a perfect, exciting, scary climax when they get Carol Ann back.
Yes.
And you're like, oh my God. And Zelda Rubinstein comes in,
Yeah.
knocks a home run out of nowhere. You're like, who is this now?
Yeah.
And you're like, what a perfect movie.
Yeah.
But then there's the like roller coaster 25 minutes still to come.
I know. And you can see the movie 4 or 5 times before you even remember that,
Yeah.
right?
So I think I was able to watch that movie as a little kid and not be scared because I never believed in ghosts. Now,
Yeah.
the girl I went with said she found it to be a very spiritual movie. It made her think a lot about the people she has lost in her lives. It really moved her. And I said, hey, great.
Right.
You know, because I think it's a multifaceted movie, you know, but
Right. You've since ghosted her, but you know.
it's Halloween. You gotta ghost somebody.
Boom.
No, it's I don't believe in them, which is why A Silence of the Lambs or something will scare me much more, because a guy can always throw you into a van and then dump you into a pit. You know, that's real.
You know what movie is basically on this subject? If you ever if you haven't seen it, Peter Bogdanovich's first movie, Targets.
I have indeed seen it, yeah.
Oh, is that not? I love that.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Yeah, and it really is kind of about that subject, which is how can I, spooky old vampire Boris
Right.
Karloff, possibly compete with 1968 America?
Yeah.
Yeah. 20-ish spooky questions with Pat Walsh. All right, here we go. Number 1. These are trivia questions, largely. Which star of Jurassic Park also played Damien in one of the Omen movies?
Sam Neill.
You got it, Pontiac.
Thank you.
What was the subtitle of Nightmare on Elm Street 4?
Okay. Dream Warriors is 3.
Yep.
Shit.
That's why I picked 4, because I feel like Dream Warriors sticks out.
You know, it's going to take me too much time to think.
Yeah, I apologize. Well, the Dream Master.
See, that's not fair. You
It
can't
isn't
go
fair.
Dream Warrior into Dream
I know.
Master.
It's well, you know, and I don't know who was in. I don't know who they had working that particular production line, but it was Freddy's Revenge, Dream Warriors, okay.
Yeah.
But then yes, Dream Master, Dream Child, and then Final Nightmare, and then New Nightmare.
New Night.
Yeah.
Fifth one is called The Dream Child? And why do they keep saying dream when it's about nightmares?
It's an excellent question, and also for all of my love of this stuff, I have seen. I think maybe the first three and maybe one of the later ones, but there's actually a couple in there I haven't seen.
I've watched them all. That's a better franchise than Halloween or Friday the 13th. But which is the one where the girl has like an eating disorder in her face? She keeps shoving food in her face. That one I found almost too disturbing. I think that might be 4 actually.
A Mary Kill. You ready?
Sure.
Jason, Freddy, or Michael, and Michael.
Look, I've seen the work that goes into killing Michael Myers. I mean, I think I mean, this is a tough choice. I'd marry Freddy because at least he's funny and a conversationalist.
Yeah.
I would Jason just because he always seems kind of buff and, you know, seems like he'd treat me like a lady at least. And Michael Myers I'd kill because, especially when they unmasked him in this latest one, he's like an old decrepit man now.
That's true. He
Doesn't mean
not...
he deserves to die by my hand, but it means I don't want to fuck him or marry him.
No. But arguably, all right, here would be mine.
Yeah.
I would actually kill Jason because I feel like he's just the most unpredictable. In a way, he's just, to me, he's the most purely vicious of the three.
Okay.
Maybe, and I know that you could argue Michael worse, but there's just something about that cat I don't trust.
Yeah.
So I'm killing him right away.
All right.
I think you Freddy, and the reason is he's gonna have some moves, right? Like
Right.
he could do all kinds of swoop-de-doops, like all kind of, you know, all over the place. You know,
No.
he can what he does with his limbs.
But what I was leaving out of my decision, and I presume you are too, is I forgot that Freddy started out as a child molester and a killer. That to me sprinkles in. That I don't want to marry him anymore for that.
No, okay, well there you go. Well, I'm just gonna f him. But I think the reason I would marry Michael is I feel like with enough time, he's not killing you in the scenario. None of these guys can kill you in the scenario. What's the point, right? I mean, I think. So, but I feel like with Michael, and I'm going back to the first film here, when that mask comes off and just before he gets it back on, and there's fear,
Yeah.
and there's a human being in there. If we could just get to that guy again, I feel like maybe we could sit out our quiet years together, and maybe Michael could at least mellow into a thing where he could just kind of sit in a chair. Whereas Freddy
Rob, that
will
guy,
never shut the up.
That's true. But that guy that you're trying to get back, that you're trying to change, that was 45 years ago. That person is long gone. You're the girl saying I can change him.
There's still good in him. I know it.
Yeah. You're the I can change him guy.
What is the name of the narrator who appears at the start and end of Plan 9 from Outer Space?
The name?
Yeah, he's like an actual he was a psychic, and he was a well-known quote unquote psychic, and he appeared as himself at the beginning and end of the movie. It's possible you haven't seen it, maybe ever. I don't know.
I've seen Planet of the Apes.
Oh, Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh, why did I hear Planet of the Apes?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I said Planet of the Apes. Well, the tape will tell the tale.
Was he played by Bill Murray in Ed Wood? And is
Yes,
his
he
name
was.
Criswell?
It is Criswell. Boom!
Thank you.
Nailed it. Personal psychic to Mae West. Apparently also appeared on...
To Mae West.
Also apparently appeared on Jack Parr in early 1963. This is according to the internet.
Yeah.
Apparently, he appeared on the Jack Parr show in 63 and said Kennedy would not run in 64 because something was going to happen to him that November.
Yikes.
But now I will add...
to say on television.
Well, it is, but also...
Did Criswell kill him?
But also, I can't find tape of this.
Okay.
Yeah. There's very little Parr tape out there, but...
Yeah,
that's suspiciously...
well, that's par for the course.
I'm going to put don't worry, there'll be a sound effect in there somewhere.
Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future.
Number 5, at the outset of Halloween 3, how many days are there until Halloween?
At the outset of Halloween 3?
Yes.
Jeez, I've seen that one time.
Oh!
I'm going to say a week?
8. And the reason that the reason it's a question is that there's the famous song for the Silver Shamrock Mask Company, 8 more days till Halloween.
8 more days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 8 more days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock. 8 more days.
Three's cool. I like 3.
I love 3. I think it's worth going back again. It's one of my. It's got some real great Halloween sort of fun things in it.
Yeah.
In number 6, in 2009's House of the Devil.
Love that movie.
Yes, movie Unquite Final. That's nice. Who plays the landlady?
Give me a moment. But speaking of recent horror, Ty West's X and then Pearl are both good. X is great and has a lot of sex in it. Pearl is pretty good.
Okay.
But I like Ty West a lot. And I love House of the Devil, which I think is his best movie.
This is the same guy.
Yes.
Okay.
And
That's
the
good to
witch
know.
character?
The landlady appears fairly early in the film.
Mary Warrenoff?
Mary Warrenoff is in the movie.
All right.
But actually it was Dee Wallace. Dee Wallace.
Oh, Dee Wallace. She's always popping up. I saw Barbara Crampton at Gelson's yesterday from Reanimator.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
There's a movie I've only seen once.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
She had a severed head eat her out in that movie.
Oh, Jesus. Really? I saw a great one the other night, by the way, called The Brain. Have you ever seen The Brain?
Familiar with it? I've never seen it, no.
A Canadian, as it turns out. The first hint was a Dominion shopping bag, which was a popular and now defunct supermarket chain in Canada.
Okay.
And then, of course, certain locations start to turn up. But yeah, they shot it out in Mississauga, which is just west of where I grew up, and is ridiculous and cheap and dumb and silly.
Talking Brain?
Kind of you just, and there's some psychic stuff like Halloween 3 kind of getting to people through the television, and it's got kind of a memorable opening scene. It's really ridiculous and low budget, but it's kind of fun. Which 1991 Wes Craven film featuring Ving Rhames, among others, inspired the name of an early 2000s hip-hop outfit?
The People Under the Stairs.
Pat, you are nailing these.
Great film, by the way.
Great film.
Lot to say. That's due for a remake, that movie.
I think it is. Great film, great. I love the People Under the Stairs. To me, maybe, old white guy, top hip-hop outfit of the last 20 years. For me.
You love the group.
I love the group.
See, I'm not familiar with the group.
Yeah, I love People Under the Stairs. Number 8, what is the name of the tavern in American Werewolf in London?
Shoot. Almost watched it this weekend, and I might have known, but I got no clue. Is it a horror nod?
I forgot to write it down, but I'm almost certain it's the Slaughtered Lamb.
Okay, that sounds right.
Well, what's that scar on the wall for?
Yeah.
Sometimes you ever see a horror movie where like every character is named like Carpenter, like Pete Carpenter, and then it's like I'm Jim Craven, and you're like, guys, you can't do this again.
Yeah,
again,
you know who
again.
also in his own way kind of jerked off like that was John Landis, always putting his director friends in
Landis, and it's
movies.
So distracting, Into the Night. It's like you got the Coen brothers like playing a valet team or something. It's like, come on now.
Somebody should make that movie now. Yeah. Remake Into the Night, but it's like Tarantino and the Duplass brothers and just.
I like Into the Night.
I did too. I saw it when I was young, and I kind of had a crush on, why wouldn't you, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, did you kind of have a crush on Michelle Pfeiffer?
I was that kind of.
You
kid.
like kind of a more nerdy guy.
Yeah, I was kind of different. I guess you could say I was kind of different. Which Poltergeist cast member later recurred on Happy Days?
Well, and it wouldn't have been later, would it? Earlier.
No, actually, after.
Oh, wow. All right.
I think.
I mean, it couldn't have been Craig T. or Joe Beth. My guess is, and it wasn't the youngest daughter who died. And it couldn't have been Zelda Rubinstein. Would you believe I've never seen an episode of Happy Days?
Well, that's
So it's a
gonna
wild
make
guess.
it difficult for you to answer. It actually is Heather O'Rourke.
Really?
They had a little arc in the 20th season or whatever they were in, where Fonzie was going to kind of settle down.
Yeah.
And Linda Pearl, who was kind of recurred on that show as a number of different characters.
Yeah. Well, Fonzie should have settled down because Henry Winkler was 48.
Yeah, no, I know, and he was still he was still tucking that T-shirt into the jeans, I felt for him, but she plays. Yes, a lovely actress who's still with us, Linda Pearl, and Heather O'Rourke plays her daughter, and she's adorable.
Yeah,
it's not the greatest season of Happy Days.
Right. I thought that would have maybe been the older daughter.
It's also not the worst.
The older sister in that movie.
Yeah, who also passed away.
She did. Oh, I watched the whole thing about the curse.
Yeah.
But the funniest laugh to me, other than when they throw the TV out of the Holiday Inn at the end. The great final scene.
Fantastic. Yeah,
they check in, door shuts, and then they push the TV out. Perfect.
Yeah.
But the funniest scene of that is the little brother. When the house is imploding in and of itself and they pull out, the daughter just happens to get out of a cab and she's at home.
Oh.
And the brother's going, just go! Leave her! Just leave her! Insane. She's there. But that's what a brother would say about his older sister. It's so funny to me.
I'll tell you what I thought you were going to say, and I just learned this within the last couple of weeks, is that if you look closely, she gets out of the cab, she's been out on a date, she has a hickey on her neck.
I did not notice that.
What famous 50s sci-fi movie later remade by John Carpenter are Laurie and Tommy watching in the first Halloween?
The Thing.
Boom, bingo, dingo, and spoiler alert, in the new one, he the babysitter in the prologue, they're watching Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that is right. Yes.
Yeah, which is fun.
Yeah.
And I like stuff like that.
And that kid was way too young to be watching Carpenter's Thing.
Well, he was. It's a horse. It's terrifying.
Way too
No, and it's really gross.
Yeah.
Also, the font in Halloween Ends was the Halloween 3 font.
I liked the opening credits of this new Halloween quite a bit. Look, I like the nods. Sometimes the nods are fun.
I agree. What is hanging in the closet when Henry Winkler, speaking of Henry Winkler, opens the door in Scream?
Well, I remember thinking Winkler was the killer when I first saw Scream.
Yeah. I think I did too.
So I wonder if it was something implicating him. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it a leather jacket?
It was a leather jacket.
That's a guess.
Okay. It
All
was
right.
Fonzie's jacket.
I love it.
Number 13. What famous indie director played Mia Farrow's husband in Rosemary's Baby?
Johnny Cassavetes.
Johnny Cassavetes.
Who portrayed her gynecologist?
No, he played as her husband.
I'm asking you.
Oh, who played the gynecologist? Sorry, I apologize. Yeah. Let me think.
What if I told you he was one of the funniest men that ever lived?
Don Knotts?
Well, there's something wrong with your uterus.
The seed of the devil.
I heard the story about Don Knotts at a bar in Burbank, Three's Company days, and he used to just be a womanizer. And he's hitting on these two much younger women, and this was a story Norm Macdonald used to tell.
Right.
He had heard it secondhand or whatever. But he's hitting on these two girls, and of course they're not exactly lusting for him. And then one of them says, Mr. Knotts, aren't you married? I thought you were married. And he goes, well, it's not going too good. Which is a very funny answer. So, like,
apparently,
any interest? Really a great answer. But you haven't answered who portrays the gynecologist from Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, I don't know.
Charles Grodin.
No kidding. Yeah, I forgot that. You're right.
That's right.
That's amazing.
Oh, there's something wrong. Clearly. Your vagina. I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah. He's great in that movie. And all movies.
See, this is what irritates me. You come in here.
I just saw a clip of him on Carson, and he's looking at him, and he goes, do you care at all? Do you care about anything or anyone? And you think it's a bit, and you look over, and Johnny has had like an existential crisis. And Ed's awkwardly trying to chuckle, but clearly Johnny's like, I've never loved anyone in my entire life. It's amazing.
I have seen that clip a couple of times, and I've often tried to sort out just how much. Yeah, 'cause it doesn't. No, you're right. It doesn't feel like a bit at that point. No. He's kind of drilling into his soul.
Yeah,
just like
he used to do it with Letterman too. It's like, sometimes it's real, sometimes it's not, but it's always compelling TV.
Who played Marion Crane's sister, Lila Crane, in Psycho?
Ooh,
arguably more screen time than Marion. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe not.
Oh golly, I mean, I don't.
This is a toughie. I don't even like this question myself. Vera Miles.
Yeah, no, I know Vera Miles, but wouldn't have guessed that for sure.
No,
I gotta say, you know, Tarantino always talking about how Psycho 2 is better than Psycho 1. It got me to watch Psycho 2, and it was great. It's not better, but it's great.
Yeah.
And 3 and 4 are interesting.
I agree, and in fact, I was talking about this with my guest a couple of weeks ago. Kate Hewlett is a friend of mine who just made a movie, and we were talking about Psycho 3 and that fabulous scene by the ice machine.
Yeah.
What 1987 horror film poster contained the tagline, "He'll tear your soul apart"?
He'll tear your soul apart. Was it Hellraiser?
Hellraiser, indeed.
Excellent. Boy, talk about a remake that didn't need to happen on that one.
Hellraiser is another one that I've had difficulty getting through the first 10 or so minutes. It's quite gory. I don't know why.
One of the only movies I've ever shut off for the podcast was the original Hellraiser.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
There's a scene on a stained mattress, and this guy's cutting himself up.
Yeah, and doesn't a guy get pulled apart a little bit? Like
that happens a lot in the Hellraiser.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's perhaps what they. Perhaps what they mean by "he'll tear your soul apart."
When I went back and finished Hellraiser, I loved it. It's got one scene that's going to be an in or out moment for a lot of people, and Hellraiser 2 is great.
Okay, I need to go back.
The remake sucks.
I need to go back. Last Halloween I watched, I don't know that I'd seen a single Child's Play movie. And I watched that. That's a fun franchise to go beginning to end. Again, for the same reasons, like some batshit turns along the way. I mean, the same guy, I think, helming that, but always making interesting, weird choices.
Absolutely. I loved the original. And then when they got more comedic, I thought they were great, too, with Jennifer Tilly and all that.
Yeah, I agree.
The remake that everyone shat on is fun, too. The latest remake.
Was that the show?
I haven't seen the show, which I've heard is great, but the movie was good.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it. The Cult of Chucky, which was lost one, was the only one I've seen.
Yeah.
Who directed the original Suspiria?
Dario Argento.
There you go. In what Halloween movie did Michael Myers first, air quotes, die?
Are we? Well, I guess it'd be the one before Resurrection, unless he had many resurrections, which is always good.
Yeah, this would be the first. Well, it doesn't really matter, but I'm saying Halloween 2 because that's the one where he and were not John Carpenter. What's his name? The old guy. Jesus, Donald Pleasance. Where Donald Pleasance blows them both up. Yeah. And they turn on all the gas and the thing, and then he blows himself up, and then he's dead.
I do wish George C. Scott had played Loomis instead of Don.
Oh, geez, was he up for it?
I would have to think so. I mean, him in Exorcist 3 is incredible.
I'm so glad you brought up George C. Scott because of the Exorcist 3, which I know you like as much as I do, and I know you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about when I say it, one of the scariest
#1
kills in all movies. Am I right?
#1.
Yeah. I'm not going to spoil it, but it just...
Did you ever see on Bravo the 100 Greatest Scary Movies that they used to show every Halloween?
Probably.
I watched it
Probably.
They've updated it for Shudder. It's the 100 Scariest Moments in Movies. It's been so entertaining and fun to watch. It's on Shudder. But they have very high on the list that lady with the scissors jump scare in Exorcist 3. And they analyze the scene for about 10 minutes. They talk about the scene and how it lulls you, and then you get the first scare, and so you're not expecting the second. It's a great analysis of that scene, but it is one of the best scares of all time.
Yeah, it is. That lingering, that to me, there's nothing scarier than that, than sitting in a room or a space longer than you feel like you should be.
Yeah.
And what am I supposed to be watching for?
Yeah.
That is still to me one of the. Here, one of my favorite franchises. What is the catastrophe that launched Final Destination 3?
I only remember 2 with that great log car crash at the beginning.
Yeah, fabulous. Yeah,
That's one of the best car crash scenes I've ever seen.
yeah.
Really, talk about a good franchise.
Oh, come on, right?
Fun,
I don't
fun,
know if it's
fun.
underrated, but fun. This number 3.
I don't remember at all.
Okay, I'll tell you. It was the roller coaster.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw them all. I don't
Yeah.
remember what happened.
The roller coaster is pretty fun because
Yeah.
it has what the thriller from the 70s roller coaster should have had, which was a really good roller coaster disaster.
Okay.
Roller coaster from the 70s has one, but
Yeah.
also this one happens in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And then number 20, final question, if there is such an answer to such a question. Well, what for you is the scariest movie?
It's hard for me to say. Now, scariest moment is the thing coming out from behind the dumpster in Mulholland Drive. That is not a horror movie. There are horrific things in it, but when in broad daylight, the guy walks out of the back of a diner and that monster man, homeless thing, whatever, I don't know,
Yes.
comes out from behind the dumpster
Yes.
and he collapses of fright. I remember when I saw the theater, I thought I was going to have a heart issue. My heart was going so fast and I got so hot
Really?
that I didn't know what was going on.
Oh my God!
That really affected me in a big way.
He is also very good, and I think this is a little bit like that shot in Exorcist 3 we were talking about, which is a static shot where the scary thing slowly kind of appears and in this case comes toward you. But he did that same thing in Twin Peaks with Bob. The first time there's that scene with Bob in the living room where Bob is coming over the couch, has to climb over the couch to get.
It's the worst.
Just peeled my skull back.
And you can't forget it.
Yeah.
That's why he's a master. I mean, like, he has so many images in his things that you will just never shake, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
While Mulholland Drive is not, I wouldn't consider it scary, that's one that sticks with me as, like, it had a real physical effect on me. First horror movie I saw was The Exorcist, and my dad showed it to me because he wanted me to learn about Catholicism, my religion.
Oh, great.
And then he said, the end here where the guy dies in the staircase, that actually happened in St. Louis, which is where I was from.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, because that's X-rated. She masturbates with a crucifix in that movie.
Oh, right.
It's so far beyond other horror movies, but that's what he wanted me to watch.
How
as
old
a
were
kid.
you?
8.
I would never have recovered from that. I've always wanted to go visit that stairwell, though. I think it's in D.C.
He told me St. Louis. He was very big on me being...
No, the one they shot it.
Oh, okay.
The one where they shot it.
Yes. He was big on me being terrified of sin. So,
jeez.
And that worked.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's a good... and I mean, everything worked out for the best.
Yeah, I've never sinned, and I have no guilt about anything. It all worked out great.
Patrick Walsh, God bless you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for coming out and doing this.
Of course. Happy Halloween. This was a blast.
Hey, come on. Halloween, be safe. Don't... I'll tell you one quick story I told Annie the other day. We're going around, it's Halloween. Woman puts out a platter of, she's got chip bags lined up on one side, which is trick-or-treating pay dirt as far as I'm concerned. Almost more so than
mini chip bags.
The small bags, but like a little size of like Lay's potato chips.
Okay.
And then apples on the other side of the tray. Well, she wanted to offer a choice. Well, obviously, kids are just grabbing the chips. Now, I love potato chips at that age still. I know you can't tell.
Potato chips and Michelle Pfeiffer. You're really a rebel, Rob.
I guess you could say I'm a little unusual.
Kind of off the beaten path.
So obviously I want the potato chips, but in this moment of just empathetic avalanche, I feel bad for the woman because she's offering both. Because I feel bad for the kids who aren't going to get a bag of chips if I take one now because later they think. Somehow I feel bad for the apples. I don't know why.
Yeah, I would too.
And so I wind up taking an apple. Then of course I bring it home. My mom goes, "Well, that may have a razor," and throws it in the trash.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Don't forget to slash that subscribe button. I'm so tired. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Happy Halloween.